Hey guys, welcome back to The Human Condition. Thanks again for all the support on my recent videos. I really appreciate you guys. Thank you guys so much for all the recent support. This video is another video in our biology brain chemical series. This one is what arrow character, I think it's called what arrow characters represent brain chemicals. So I figured since last time I did the Flash, I would do Arrow for you guys. To be honest, it's been a while since I've watched Arrow, so I was trying to recall all the characters and stuff. And for some reason, before making this video, the only characters I could remember were Oliver, Diggle, Felicity, Roy, and Thea. I don't know why, but I completely forgot Laurel existed, Laurel Lance, but she's going to be in this video as well. And yeah, so starting off with the one I feel like that fits the brain chemical the most would be Felicity. Felicity definitely, in my opinion, embodies serotonin. This is seen through her extreme optimism with the gang and keeping the group together. One could argue Diggle does this as well, but I feel like Diggle is an awesome person, awesome character, but I wouldn't say he's quite as optimistic as Felicity. And for that reason, I give Felicity serotonin, because serotonin is the chemical associated with optimism, and I also associate with people in TV shows that keep the group together, kind of. I feel like Felicity does a really good job keep the group together, because sometimes Arrow and Diggle get along most of the time, but sometimes if Diggle's trying to give him advice, since he gives a lot of advice, and Arrow's not getting along with Diggle, Felicity can help calm that down, potentially. I feel like but most of the time, Diggle keeps the group together. But Felicity's very high optimism, really, and keeping everyone together really embodies serotonin, I feel like, in my opinion. So she'd definitely be the embodiment of serotonin. Also, previous shows that I've done before that also embody serotonin, for example, like Abbott Elementary, Janine was serotonin. But yeah, so Felicity's serotonin. Arrow, I feel like would be the perfect embodiment of norepinephrine. Norepinephrine I've given to a lot of different characters for the past and things. Norepinephrine I've given to a lot of characters that are very motivated for noble causes. Norepinephrine is associated with kind of similar to dopamine with motivation. However, it's more not less self-oriented and more for noble causes. So I feel like Arrow is a good embodiment, or Oliver Queen is a good embodiment of norepinephrine, since he's also motivated by noble causes, usually noble causes, and not as self-oriented as dopamine. However, norepinephrine also has a hard time following orders and taking advice, and we can see this a lot through Oliver's, especially the beginning of Arrow. Diggle gives a lot of advice, and Oliver takes it to an extent, but he has a hard time taking advice and not being the leader of the group. And that's a constant battle we can see in the Arrow series. Even when more people join his group, they all end up turning against him, because Oliver does tend to struggle with taking advice from other people and needing or orders from other people. So we can see that in the Arrow. So I definitely think Oliver's a good embodiment of norepinephrine, because he's motivated, passionate to do the right thing. It's not self-oriented that he's doing. It's for noble reasons, but it's more hard time taking orders and listening to advice. And if we're doing his personality before his character development in the show, or before the show started, back before he got straight on Lee and Yu, when he was a player, a gangster, I would say he'd be definitely the embodiment of dopamine, because he was a player and he was self-oriented and lived in self-oriented and impulsive back before he became disciplined on Lee and Yu. And now I'd say overall in the series, he'd be a good embodiment of norepinephrine for the motivation for noble reasons, or not just noble reasons, but motivation for less self-serving ambitions. Laurel Lance, I don't know how I forgot about Laurel Lance, but I feel like she'd be a good embodiment of oxytocin. Oxytocin's in the series I usually give to people who are loving, caring, and sweet. And I feel like Laurel's a good embodiment of this. From what I remember, she wasn't she was loving and sweet, but not to the extreme amount, if I can remember that correctly. But I still think and most of the people I give this to are people that are romantic relationship people in the series. For example, I gave this to a lot of different other people that are in the series that are the romantic person to the main person, or I gave it to the main character. So I feel like Laurel Lance would be a good embodiment of oxytocin because she's a romantic person, but not only that, she is an embodiment of loving and caring and sweet and wholesome. And she even sacrificed herself in season 4 when Damien Dark, took her out. She sacrificed herself for Team Arrow. So I feel like she's a good embodiment of oxytocin and love. Diggle's an awesome character, but Diggle I had a hard time because he really doesn't fit any of the boxes. Cortisol is stressed out. I could give him cortisol, but compared to other characters I've given cortisol, like Caitlyn and The Flash, and Liv Baker from Resident Alien, I feel like he's not stressed out to the part where it debilitates him, or he's like anxious as much. So I feel like he wouldn't necessarily be cortisol, but he's not dopamine because he's not self-oriented or impulsive. He's not norepinephrine because he's usually the one giving advice. He's not oxytocin necessarily. He's loving and caring, but he's not like overtly, I guess, quite as much as other characters I've given before. So I'd say overall, if I had to give Diggle one, I would love to give him one, but I don't think I can. But maybe potentially cortisol, but not as stressed out version of cortisol. An embodiment of cortisol, but not as stressed out, I guess, if I gave Diggle one. And then finally, we got Roy Harper. I gave him dopamine. Dopamine is self-serving and impulsive. And even though he's also does noble things, he's very impulsive and sometimes self-serving because he has a hard time taking direction from Arrow or Oliver Queen. And we can see he even started off being kind of impulsive. He lived in the Glades. He did like minor petty theft and stuff, which is an example of how he's impulsive. And when he got the Mirakuru, he had extreme rage, but he was able to heal a ton. But even before he had Mirakuru, I'd say he's probably pretty impulsive. But he's a pretty cool character. Roy Harper's a pretty cool character. I like the concept of Red Era. I thought that was really cool. So that being said, I feel like Roy would be a good embodiment of dopamine for self-serving. However, still a pretty awesome character. And yeah, even before he had the Mirakuru, I feel like I'm butchering the name, but the serum that made people super strong, able to heal, but kind of had like a bloodlust, or not even bloodlust, but like kind of made them aggressive. Even before he had that kind of aggressive tendency, a little bit, not as bad. So for that reason, I'd say he is dopamine. So yeah, in conclusion, I'd say Arrow, Oliver Queen is norepinephrine. Diggle, I'm gonna give him unofficially cortisol. Not officially cortisol because he's not stressed out enough, but he does have a certain level of stress and responsibility to advise the team. And he's one of the on the team that gives the best advice and kind of also keeps the team together, like kind of with Felicity, or even before Felicity kept the team grouped together and the closest confidant to Arrow. Felicity, optimism, and serotonin, extreme optimism, and ability to level things and keep tensions down when she's around. So therefore, I gave her serotonin. Roy, I gave dopamine because he is sometimes impulsive, has a hard time following orders, similar to Oliver. However, he, in the beginning, at least, is a little more self-oriented. However, he does at some point even take the blame for Arrow, which could, or Oliver. So, also spoilers. Sorry if you haven't seen Arrow, but I should say this earlier, but spoiler alert if you haven't seen the show. It's a fire show. I recommend it. But he takes the blame. So at that point, maybe not dopamine, but when we first meet him, I'd say his impulsiveness is definitely embodiment and self-orientedness. At least when we first meet him, is a good embodiment of dopamine. So yeah, I know there was only like 4 characters this time, but those are the 4 characters that I think represent brain chemicals from the show Arrow. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. My next video will probably be another astrology video. so stay tuned for that. And as always, thanks again for watching. Like and subscribe if you want. I love you guys, and I'll see you in the next one.